Hello and welcome to the Gona Academy Project Management Module 5, Understanding the Project Life Cycle. We're going to learn about the project life cycle in this lesson. In this lesson, we'll cover what is a project life cycle. We'll explore key phases of the project life cycle. We'll talk about the phases in action, comparing the initiation and the planning phases. Or we'll also look at the executing and the closing phases. And lastly, we'll look at identifying the project phases. Now let's explore. What is a project life cycle? The project life cycle is the path for your project from start to finish. Each project phase builds toward the subsequent phase and helps to create a structure for the project. Just a recap, we said project is a unique endeavor that has a start and end date. And because the project has a unique start and end date, means that the project must go through a unique pathway from start to finish. What is the path your project is going to take for you to reach your goal? That is the project life cycle. And so this is very structural and it helps you know the steps you must take to achieve your project goal. The main phases of the project life cycle are initiating the project, making the project plan, executing and completing all project tasks, and closing the project. So we have four unique project management phases: project initiation phase, project planning phase, project execution phase, and project closeout phase. As you can see on the screen, from initiation to planning, from planning to execution, from execution to closeout, which will lead us to our ultimate goal on a project. So our project must go through these four unique stages or four unique phases to ensure that we are able to achieve our project goal. Let's explore the phases of the project life cycle. First, initiating a project. In this phase, we ask key questions to understand the foundation of the project. This is the beginning where we start everything and we put all the pieces of information together to start our project plan. Before we can make a project plan, we have to set the foundation for the project. So we ask ourselves, what problem are we trying to solve? This is very critical because every project is aimed to solve a specific problem. There could be a challenge that you are facing in your company or your organization that you want to solve, and there could be a problem in the system, there could be a problem in the community, or whatever your project seeks to address. There's a problem you're trying to solve. So with this, at the beginning of the project, we try to ask ourselves, what is the specific problem we're trying to solve? This will help us understand what will be our solution to the problem. So we need to first understand the problem before we talk about the solution towards the problem. In this concept, we use the problem tree analysis to understand the problem very well. This problem tree analysis entails trying to know all the problems surrounding a single problem we identify. We also need to identify the causes to the problem and the effect of the problem. The problem tree analysis will help us to go deeper and get the root causes of the problem, and these root causes can be an action point to solving the problem. Now we have the problem already analyzed and we now know what problem we are trying to solve. The next step is, who are the stakeholders? We need to look at the people who are involved in our project. The stakeholders are people who have interest in your project. They could be beneficiaries, team members, donors, project partners, and several other people on the project. These people can be users of the project, it could be sustainers of the project, they could be influencers of the project in different ways. We need to figure out the different stakeholders that are directly involved with our project and may have interest in the project. We need to come up with the role they can play in terms of influencing our project positively or negatively. And how would they be helpful in making sure our project is successful? The next question we ask ourselves is, what are the clients or the customers' goals? We need to understand the donor goal if the project is coming from a donor. We need to understand the client's goal, the community goal. We also need to understand our organizational goal. So a project will have a unique goal that we want to accomplish or we want to achieve at the end of the project. Understanding the project goal will help us plan the solution, will help us come up with strategies to bring the project to life. It will help us come up with the methods to use, different strategies to use to achieve the project's goal. But this is very critical in the project because at the end of the project, we measure the success of the project against the goal we have set. More to this, we also come out to know what is the purpose and mission of the project. This is talking about the objectives. What is the purpose? What is the purpose of your project? So you need to come up with the purpose and the mission of your project. In other words, what is your project trying to accomplish? We also ask ourselves, what are some of the measurable objectives for the team? What are the set objectives you want to come up with for your project? Can they be measurable? Remember, at this point, we want to make sure we set goals or objectives that are SMART. Our goals should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic or relevant, and also time-bound. These things will help us understand our goals, and we are able to achieve them because they fit in the SMART goal model. We also need to come out to know what our project is trying to achieve or trying to improve. Are we improving systems, processes, or people? So we can come up with the aim of the project in terms of improving systems or whatever the case is. When does this project need to be completed? This is very critical because the project must be completed within a set period of time. Project has a unique start and end date, so we need to come up with the end of the project. When do we need to achieve the project goal? When do we want to complete the project tasks? Then these things will help us understand the project timeline. We also need to figure out the skills and resources our project will require. These are inputs that the project will need to produce the results we want. So, what are the skill sets in terms of the expertise you need? What are the resources, human resource, financial resource, material resource, and other resources that your project will require for it to be successful? We go on and ask, what will be our project cost? What are the things we are going to spend on? And what will be the cost in terms of monetary value? Then we move to what are the project benefits? What could be the benefits of the project to our company, to our organization, and to the beneficiaries? This is very critical because the project benefit, we're looking at the project outcomes, the key things that the project will achieve. Let's also explore another phase of the project life cycle, making a project plan or project planning. Project planning can be very critical in project management as you will need to take the project initiation phase to the next level. After we have concluded on the start of the project by getting the key detail we got from the initiation phase, it's now time for us to plan our project. Planning the project will help us know what we are going to start with and up to the end plan of our project. Project plan will mean to create a detailed project plan. This project plan will involve having to know our major milestones. How do we know we are getting close to achieving our goal? We need to set milestones that will inform us about key achievement points. What are the key achievement points you want to see? And once they happen, you are assured that the project will be successful. Let's assume that you are having a birthday party. During the birthday party, the party is the bigger picture that you want to have. But there are key milestones that will lead you to having a unique or wonderful birthday party. One is securing the venue of the celebration. Another one is procuring all the food materials and having people served with the food. That is a key milestone. Another milestone is sending out invitations and everyone accepting to attend the program. That is also another milestone. So for us to see ourselves, once we are able to send our invitations and people accept to attend a birthday party, we are excited because we are getting close to success. Another thing is we secure money and we bought all the materials for the food and other things that we need for the birthday party. We know that food secure. That is another milestone. We also see that we've secured the venue where the birthday party will be celebrated. These are major milestones that will inform us of our key success points. This will guide us about the pathway or guide us on whether we are on path or we are close to achieving our result. We don't just set milestones, we also set tasks or deliverables that will make up each milestone. So for example, securing the venue. That is a milestone if we secure the venue. But to secure the venue, we require several tasks. One, you will have to source a venue. You will also have to request to use the venue. You will have to know whether the venue is available, and you also have to pay for the venue. So all of these steps will be needed, and these are different tasks on the project. For you to reach to the point where you are able to secure all the food materials for the birthday party, you will need to make a list of the materials you need. You will need to do a window shopping to know the different prices at the market. And then you also need to go into the market to purchase, transport them to where you want it, and the rest of it. You also need to cook the food, and there are a lot more involved. So these are different tasks or deliverables that will help you achieve the milestone. So we set them in the project planning phase. At the project planning phase, we also set out or build the project schedule, which will give us a clear picture of how the project will be implemented from start to finish. This will help us manage resources. It will help us also set up the budget and materials and timeline. So our project schedule will involve what are the different activities you are carrying out, when do you want to carry out a specific activity, what are the resources required for activity, what is the budget of that activity, and what are the materials needed for the activity. This is very critical for project success. So planning is very critical at this stage. Also, we'll create an itemized budget, which will mean detailing the different items on our list of budget and adding value cost to each of them. So we know how much we are going to spend on every cell line of the budget. Having gone through the project planning, we now move to project execution. Wonderful. Project execution is more of taking the work from the paper into action. And at this point, we are more actionable because we have made all our plans, and now we are at stage 3, which will mean putting all the 2 phases into action. Initiation and planning into action. What are some of the key things we'll do in executing the project? We need to monitor the project as the project tasks are being completed by each team members. So each team member will be assigned different tasks on the project. You as a project manager will be responsible for monitoring each team member on the project and ensuring they complete their tasks on time. Remember, we have a work plan from the project planning stage where we have a schedule to tell us when we are going to complete each task. It is the role of the project manager to adequately monitor each team member and ensure that tasks are completed on time, on budget, and results are achieved. We also need to break down any barriers that we encounter in our project. In other words, we need to also resolve every conflict, or we need to resolve risks or come up with strategies to stop them from affecting our project. During project implementation, we realize that our plan will not be exactly the way we saw it. There are a lot of things that will happen during execution that will be different from when we were planning. So during execution, you will need to communicate with team members often. You will need to come up with plans on how to break down barriers, resolve conflicts, and several other challenges or risks your project may encounter. This will help you guarantee the project success and ensure that you are achieving your project goal. As project execution also helps to keep the project aware of schedule and deliverable expectations. So we need to communicate with the team members as often as possible and let them know of the schedule of each task and when to deliver that task. And what is the expectation we have in terms of what they must achieve from every task. We also need to address weaknesses in our team. Okay, so in project execution, we identify some weaknesses, we identify challenges our project team members are facing, and we will be able to provide additional support. It could be training, it could be coaching, mentorship, and you could be pairing our team members to work together to learn from each other, and several other approaches you could use, methods or approaches you could use to resolve these weaknesses that your team members may have on the project. Another interesting thing we'll do in project execution is to adapt to changes in the project as they arise. The reality is that you can plan your project considering every aspect of the project. Once you get into implementation, things will be different. You will realize some things that you didn't plan for, and there were changes that will affect your project. It could be natural or it could be human behavior and several other factors. We need to think about how do we adapt to the changes we encountered on our project. But the reality is that those changes we encounter must not affect our project negatively. We must manage the change. Now let's explore what's happening in the project closeout. This is the last phase. If you've gone through the previous phases, means that you have learned a lot around the project life cycle. It's time to learn about how to close a project. In this phase, we look at one thing. We identify that team member has completed all tasks that we requested. This is very critical for us to know the different checklists and make sure that we have completed all the checklists, the different tasks we have. This is very, very important. And we need to also verify whether we achieve our outcomes, whether we got the results we needed from the project. We also release our team members to support other projects because they have already completed the project. We also find time to celebrate success. Remember, this is one of the exciting part of project management. Where you successfully deliver the project, you got to celebrate, and you got to take some time to celebrate yourself. Not mode of just celebrating. You pick time to look at the remaining deliverables and get stakeholder approval. This is important because you want to make sure stakeholder approve what the project has delivered. You must document lessons learned. This is the most interesting part for me. Every time you implement a project, you learn a lot of lessons. So you should capture these key lessons into a document that will help your project team in the next project. You are able to reference those documents and see the things you have been able to do, the strategies you developed, the challenges you encountered, how you resolve those challenges or conflicts, or how you are able to break down barriers to be successful in your project. These things will teach you a lot more lessons for the next project ahead. You also need to reflect on ways to improve in the future. This is very critical in project management, as we need to improve our project on a day-to-day basis. So the next project we have to implement can be much more better than the previous project. This will mean reflecting on this. You can have a closing meeting with your team to reflect on what you achieved and what could be the lessons learned and what does that mean for our next project and how can we improve our systems? How can we improve our implementation processes? How can we improve our planning? How can we improve the execution process? How can we improve our skill of team members, fill up the gaps and other stuff that we identify within our project processes, and how can we become a better project management team? Kudos, guys, you have completed this key understanding about the project lifecycle. Let's make a little move into initiating and planning the project, putting these phases into action. During initiation, we identify the problem, we define project goals, we determine resources, people, and other project details. We also get project approved by donor or the company boss or whatever structure that will be set up in terms of the decision gate. In the planning phase, we create a budget, we set the schedule, we establish our team, we define roles and responsibility of team members on the project, we plan for risks and change on the project, we establish communications on the project on how we're going to communicate as a team, because communication is very important in project management. So we need to identify we need to establish a strong communication strategy that will help us communicate throughout the project to achieve the project goal. Let's move on to phases in action, taking, executing, and closing into action. How do we do this? Executing, we manage the project, the progress of the project, we communicate the project. Every time communication will be there. You have to communicate back and forth with stakeholders, team members, and several other people on the project. We also make adjustments as needed. We also come to project closing. Project closing, we ensure all tasks have been completed because we want to make sure we are clearly saying that we are successful in the project. So we ensure that all tasks have been completed. We also confirm acceptance of the project outcome to get approval that yes, the project was delivered well. And then we reflect on lessons learned and take a retrospective note for future projects. Very critical. We communicate project results with stakeholders. We celebrate completing the project. Great. You have just completed key of these lessons. Now let's summarize what the project lifecycle is. Each phase of the project lifecycle has its own significance and reason for existing. By following the project lifecycle, you are ensuring that you are, number one, capturing the expectations of your customer, setting your project up for success with a plan, executing project tasks, and addressing any issue that arises, closing out your project to capture any lessons learned. As you continue through this program, you will learn more about the project phases in detail, as we'll be taking you through project initiation as a model. We'll also take you through project planning as a model, project execution, and project closeout. By the end of this program, you are going to understand every bit of it, every bit of detail, every bit of action you need to take in every phase of the project. And you are going to learn about it, not just in where, but you're also going to develop your project from start to finish. You will initiate your own project, you will plan your own project. You might execute it if you consider doing that after the training or so. You will also learn how to close up a project. Thank you very much for completing this module. Congratulations. Move on to the next module with better understanding that you now know all of what you need to know about project lifecycle, specifically planning, executing, and closing, as well as initiating a project.